Welcome to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where we treat star maps like field notes and human behavior like a living novel. I'm your longtime researcher, equal parts astrologer, psychologist, and novelist who files footnotes with Jupiter and invoices Mercury for the typos, and today we're talking to you, Sagittarius, about the clean, unmistakable feeling of triple confirmation when the cosmos stops hinting and starts clearing its throat. Take a breath, set down the cosmic coffee before it vibrates off the table, and listen. This moment is not random, not an algorithmic accident, not fate on cruise control, but a deliberate rendezvous your intuition scheduled weeks ago when you kept pacing your life like a bright bird in a too small cage. The door wasn't locked, it was timing itself, and today it swings open. This is not fortune-telling, it's calibration, what a pilot would call trimming the wings and what a monk might call right effort, aligning your inner compass with the horizon you actually want instead of the scenery you've tolerated. You've been standing in a long, echoing hallway between chapters, half philosopher, half roadrunner, debating whether to leap first and justify later or diagram the leap like a scientist. You analyzed, then analyzed your analysis, which is perfectly Sagittarian because you worship movement but demand meaning. Here's your meaning. The year of triumph 2025 has been quietly drawing the bowstring. Delays weren't punishments but tensile strength. Confusion wasn't fog but condensation before rain. Every no was a narrowing that made the yes unmistakable. You are not lost, you are being launched. And launch doesn't require drama, no fireworks. No last-minute speeches, just one precise, honest step aimed at what your spirit keeps circling when you're too distracted to admit it. Psychologically, that means trading adrenaline for regulation, swapping the chase for the practice, moving from prove it to live it. Socially, it means choosing conversations that expand your map rather than applause that shrinks it. And spiritually, because even a novelist says this with a straight face, it means meeting your mind the way a good teacher meets a student, firm, kind, and allergic to excuses. If you've been waiting for the perfect sign, consider this the practical one. Your pattern recognition is spiking, your timing is sharpening, and the people who truly matter are beginning to echo your deepest thesis back to you. In Buddhist terms, release the grasping. In American terms, stop white-knuckling the steering wheel of a parked car. Let the engine hum, check your mirrors, and merge. The arrow is nocked, the target is steady, and the only thing left is the smallest motion of the hand. You are not chasing destiny down a hallway, you are opening the door you built. Sagittarius energy has always been an unpredictable mix of philosophy and fire, a paradox that only you could embody without combusting. You are the scholar who gets lost in airports, the monk who rides a motorcycle, the philosopher who packs light but dreams heavy. And lately, your inner compass has been spinning like a phone caught in low signal mode. You've been searching for coordinates that make sense, directions that don't lead back to circles. That's about to change. The cosmic gears are finally clicking into alignment. Jupiter, your ruling planet and eternal sponsor of wanderlust, is forming a harmonious trine with your sign's decan, and if you're wondering what that means in plain human language, it's the universe politely clearing its throat and saying, enough planning, start walking. This is what astrologers call a call to action transit. Translation: dreaming season is over, movement season has begun. But this shift isn't chaotic. It's beautifully intentional. The universe has been sending you clues for weeks, those repeating numbers, those songs that suddenly feel personal again, the déjà vu that refuses to be dismissed as coincidence. These are cosmic push notifications. Unlike the ones on your phone, you can't swipe them away. They're not here to distract you, they're here to wake you up. And when you take that deep breath you've been postponing for days, feel that warmth rising in your chest. That's not anxiety, it's ignition. That's the soul recognizing the signal flare of its next chapter. Now, before you sprint off with your signature Sagittarius enthusiasm, let's take a moment for inner philosophy. Because while movement is your element, meaning is your obsession. You're allergic to stagnation, yes, but lately even your beloved freedom has started to feel suspiciously like a cage. You've been caught between two opposing desires, the hunger for constant discovery and the longing for inner peace. It's a cruel cosmic joke, isn't it? You crave new horizons but secretly dream of a home within yourself. The good news is that this isn't a contradiction, it's a curriculum. You're not meant to choose between them, you're meant to integrate them. The real adventure isn't another passport stamp or another country's sunrise, it's daring to live by your own philosophy without apology. Let's talk about that word philosophy. In psychology, we'd call it your cognitive blueprint. In Buddhism, it's Dharma, the alignment between what you do and who you truly are. For Sagittarius, it means moving through life not as an escape but as an experiment in authenticity. You are not meant to run from the world, you are meant to illuminate it. That's the difference between wanderers and chosen ones, and make no mistake, you're in the latter category. The universe isn't asking you to seek permission anymore. It's handing you the keys to your own authority. But let's not confuse permission with recklessness. This isn't a season of impulsive leaps, it's a season of intentional direction. Think of it as archery rather than fireworks. You don't need to explode, you need to aim. One deliberate, heart-aligned step will create more momentum than a dozen scattered attempts. Energy follows focus, and where your attention goes, reality obediently flows. So instead of chasing the next shiny adventure, chase alignment. Make your movement sacred again. And now, we must address the part of your chart that always makes you blush, the temple of love. For Sagittarius, love is rarely calm. It's not a cottage by the lake, it's a long road trip with cosmic detours, profound arguments, and spontaneous kisses under inconvenient constellations. You don't fall in love, you travel in it. Yet lately, even that adventurous spirit of yours has been confused, as if your romantic GPS started rerouting without warning. If you're in a relationship, things might feel strange. You and your partner have been walking the same road but reading different maps. Maybe you feel unheard. Maybe they do. Maybe both of you got lost somewhere between independence and intimacy. Here's the better news, Venus is moving into a sign that speaks your language. Translation: emotional reconnection ahead. The air clears, the jokes land, the conversations that used to feel like debates turn into discovery again. You'll stop trying to fix the other person, which, let's be honest, was never your job, and start exploring life with them again. Two solo adventurers becoming co-captains of the same starship. No one's the passenger, both are charting routes. And for my single Sagittarians, the cosmic humor continues. There's someone observing you, not creeping, not scrolling your socials at 2 a.m., but watching with genuine awe. They're not dazzled by your looks, though Jupiter did give you an unfair amount of charm. They're magnetized by your energy, that mischievous, unfiltered vitality that says, I've seen the world, and I still believe in wonder. They see the philosopher who laughs too loud, the dreamer who quotes Nietzsche over brunch, the optimist who refuses to give up on humanity even when Wi-Fi does. This person could enter your orbit through something mundane, a casual comment, a class, a coincidence so subtle you'll think it's random until it isn't. But when it happens, you'll know. You'll feel that unmistakable internal click, the one that says, ah, this connection doesn't require translation. Don't chase it. Sagittarius doesn't chase what's meant for them, you recognize it, then invite it to walk beside you. Real love for you isn't pursuit, it's recognition. And here's a truth worth tattooing somewhere discreet: freedom and intimacy are not enemies. You can love deeply and still remain untamed. You can be devoted without being domesticated. The trick is not to demand that another person orbit your sun, but to find someone whose light complements yours. That's the real temple of love, a sacred space where two spirits wander together but never lose their individual sky. The shift from thinking to doing isn't about impulsive change. It's about conscious participation in your own becoming. The philosopher in you can analyze the meaning of every feeling, but the fire in you wants to live them. And this alignment of Jupiter is a rare permission slip from the cosmos saying, do both. Learn through motion. Heal through laughter. Grow by doing. You don't need all the answers before you start. You just need to trust that the universe isn't trying to trick you, it's trying to train you. Every Sagittarius season reminds us that wisdom doesn't come from the mountain's peak but from the climb itself. You are a seeker, yes, but you are also a teacher, and the world needs your perspective now more than ever. Society is overflowing with noise, fear, and performative certainty. Your role is to remind people that faith is not blind, it's courageous curiosity. You, dear Archer, are proof that hope and humor can coexist, that truth can travel light. So if the cosmos feels louder lately, it's because you've reached the frequency of your own next chapter. And if life feels like a series of mysterious nudges, that's because it is. The universe is whispering through repetition, through synchronicity, through laughter shared at exactly the right second. It's saying, move. You're ready. And you are. The monk on the motorcycle is back on the road, wiser, funnier, and somehow lighter. The inner compass isn't spinning anymore, it's pointing home, which, for you, has never been a place, but a state of being. You've felt that strange claustrophobia before, haven't you? The kind that doesn't come from walls or ceilings, but from expectations that close in like glass. Professionally, you've been the bright flame locked inside a lantern, useful, admired, but unable to stretch to its full blaze. You walked into rooms armed with innovation, wit, and a philosophical lens that could turn routine into revelation, only to find those rooms smaller than you remembered once you started thinking out loud. You tried to shrink your brilliance into digestible pieces, hoping to be understood. You trimmed your edges to fit the table, only to discover that the table was built for conformity, not curiosity. That's why you've been tired. Not lazy, not lost, just underused. But that era, Sagittarius, is ending. The fog is thinning, and what's emerging isn't a new job title, it's a new epoch in your creative evolution. I call it your purpose renaissance. This isn't about climbing a corporate ladder built by someone else's imagination, it's about designing your own staircase out of ideas that actually matter to you. The tarot spread supports this shift with two heavyweights of spiritual psychology, the Empress and the High Priestess. You're not just encountering them, you're embodying them. The Empress is your creative vitality, the life-giving current that births projects faster than the world can categorize them. She's that spark that says, why wait for permission when you can publish it, paint it, launch it, live it? She's the unapologetic artist within you who knows that your work is not self-indulgence, it's service disguised as beauty. Then comes the High Priestess, calm as moonlight, looking like she's been waiting for you to remember something obvious. Her message is simple, you already know. You've spent so much time asking for validation from systems that don't even speak your language. You've been showing your soul's artwork to bureaucrats and wondering why they look confused. Stop asking the blind to review your painting. Stop waiting for consensus from rooms that can't hold your frequency. The High Priestess tells you to build your own platform, your own philosophy, your own ecosystem of meaning. This is your season not to fit in, but to found something. Whether it's a creative venture, a teaching pursuit, a publication, or a movement, the world doesn't need you to be reasonable, it needs you to be radiant. The old chapter was survival. This new one is expansion. The difference is luminous, almost gold, and that's not a metaphor I throw around lightly. Gold, astrologically speaking, is the color of Jupiter's promise, prosperity earned through wisdom, success that doesn't corrode the soul. It's the visible shimmer of inner alignment. Wear it, imagine it, invoke it. Because every idea you bring forth now will carry that same golden signature value that multiplies when shared. Spiritually, the work mirrors this theme. You've carried heavy quests on your back, unfinished projects, unspoken apologies, outdated ambitions. Sagittarius nostalgia is deceptive. It can make you believe that every arrow you shot should return, when in truth, some were never meant to. The wisdom is in knowing which ones to release. Forgiveness, both of yourself and of others, is not surrender, it's alchemy. In the garden of growth, forgiveness is compost. It takes the decayed debris of disappointment and turns it into fertile ground. That's the real Sagittarius magic, turning regret into philosophy, transforming chaos into coherence. When you stop needing to win every story, you begin to understand them, and from understanding comes peace, the quiet, genuine kind that doesn't need applause. Here's a Buddhist secret tucked in the middle of this cosmic lesson: enlightenment isn't accumulation, it's subtraction. You don't find clarity by adding more noise, another project, another goal, another validation checklist. You find it by letting go. You don't have to keep chasing the next horizon to prove that you're alive. Sometimes, the most revolutionary act for a Sagittarius is to stay still long enough to hear the hum of your own wisdom. Stillness doesn't mean stagnation, it means conscious anchoring. Think of it as your spirit recharging before its next great expedition. And while you're there, listen to your intuition. It's louder than usual, disguised as gut feelings, lucky coincidences, or people saying exactly what you were just thinking. Those are not coincidences, they're re-echoes of your own higher knowing. That's the High Priestess at work again, whispering through patterns. Trust yourself more than the noise. Now let's turn to your cinematic trilogy, the one that every Sagittarius secretly loves, because you never shy away from drama when it carries meaning. The cards line up like a screenplay, 3 acts of liberation. Act 1, the Tower. Something collapses, a belief, a job, an illusion. It feels catastrophic for a moment, like a plot twist you didn't sign up for. But then you remember you've survived worse. You've had towers fall before, and each time, you learned that debris is just raw material for your next foundation. Act 2, the Emperor. After the smoke clears, you start rebuilding, but this time on your own terms. No more overgiving, no more contorting yourself to meet the invisible expectations of others. You start drafting boundaries like blueprints, not barricades but architecture. You realize that leadership isn't about control, it's about coherence. You don't need to micromanage, you just need to design your life with the precision of someone who finally believes in their own authority. Act 3, the Sun. The finale. The light returns, and it's not gentle. It's radiant, unapologetic, and frankly overdue. It's that moment when you wake up and realize you've stopped surviving and started thriving. The Tower didn't destroy you, it liberated you. The Emperor didn't cage you, he organized your chaos. And the sun doesn't need permission to shine, it simply does. This trilogy is the story of your sovereignty, your return to your original frequency before fear started editing your script. So, when obstacles show up this weekend, they will. Don't panic, don't curse, and definitely don't spiral into existential Twitter threads. Laugh. The universe loves your humor. Friction only appears when you're close to liftoff. Every delay, every rejection, every detour is just the wind testing your wings before you take flight. You're not losing control, you're learning the choreography of freedom. In practical terms, this might mean saying no to something that looks good on paper but feels heavy in your gut. It might mean finally pitching that idea, writing that book, teaching that course, or simply reclaiming the hours of your life that have been rented out to routine. You're not meant to stay in the cage, you're meant to fly so high that others remember they can too. Philosophically, This is your reminder that destiny isn't delivered, it's designed. You don't wait for purpose to appear like a plot twist. You sculpt it with awareness, discipline, and a touch of rebellion. In psychology, that's called self-actualization. In astrology, it's called living in alignment with Jupiter. In Buddhism, it's called right livelihood. Different languages, same truth. Your work must now serve both the world and your soul. So, Sagittarius, the cage door is open, the sky is wide, and the horizon is humming your name. The fire that once felt trapped is becoming illumination. Walk out of the fog and into your renaissance, not as a dreamer begging for meaning but as a creator generating it. This time, you're not chasing the sunrise, you are it. Sagittarius and structure have always had an awkward relationship. You treat routines the way a wild horse treats fences, as polite suggestions, not binding agreements. But lately, the universe has been sending you reminders that your body, like any fine-tuned instrument, can't play in harmony if it's out of tune. Those mysterious headaches, the sudden fatigue after too much socializing, the low-grade irritability that shows up for no reason, they aren't cosmic punishments or karmic payback. They're messages, data packets from your physical form, gently insisting that your mind and body start speaking the same language. Spirituality without embodiment is like Wi-Fi without a modem. Even Jupiter, your generous ruling planet, can't maintain the signal if you refuse to ground it. You see, your body isn't separate from your spirit, it's the compass through which your intuition navigates the physical world. When you ignore it, the entire guidance system goes haywire. So, this is your cue to honor the temple. Stretch, not to become flexible but to remember what flow feels like. Eat something green that didn't come in a crinkly bag. Go outside not to escape the noise of civilization but to synchronize with the rhythm of existence. And please, for the love of everything celestial and caffeinated, go to sleep. The universe can't deliver divine downloads if you keep closing your eyes at 3 in the morning only to reopen TikTok. Even enlightenment needs a bedtime. Here's where psychology meets astrology. Your nervous system is the middleman between cosmic intuition and human behavior. When you deprive it of rest, it starts broadcasting static, anxiety, fatigue, irritability, signals that many mistake for existential dread. But those symptoms are just your system pleading for calibration. Rest, for Sagittarius, isn't idleness, it's refueling the jet before the next adventure. Laughter is also medicine in your chart. You heal fastest when you're laughing at your own grand monologues, those times you narrate your emotional crises like an Oscar-winning performance. The universe isn't grading your self-improvement, it just wants you present, conscious, and occasionally amused by the absurdity of being human. Now, about money and legacy, the architecture of prosperity. Financially, you're walking into one of your most fertile periods since 2020. The tarot shows the 10 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles side by side, a rare combination symbolizing long-term stability and fresh opportunity. In plain English, the seeds you planted during what you jokingly called your broke enlightenment era are finally sprouting. You worked hard, yes, but more importantly, you worked consciously. You stopped chasing every glittering distraction and began investing in what had both purpose and staying power. Now, the returns are coming in. Expect new collaborations that excite your intellect and honor your integrity, or perhaps a raise that finally reflects your actual value. The secret here isn't endless hustle, it's alignment. Sagittarius luck works differently from other signs. You don't grind your way to success, you leap, and the bridge appears. But this time, you're not leaping blind. You've learned to measure the distance, to check the wind, to trust the landing. That's wisdom disguised as courage. The Emperor energy, the archetype of structure and mastery, has entered your chart, not to cage you, but to sustain you. He's the pragmatic voice that says, Freedom without form burns out. This is the moment to make systems, to budget, to invest in what grows both your mind and your bank account. Because the chosen ones of this era aren't meant to be starving philosophers quoting Rumi by candlelight. They're meant to be sustainable visionaries who build temples out of their ideals, temples that pay the rent on time. Wealth, for Sagittarius, isn't about hoarding, it's about circulation. You're learning that prosperity is a language, an ongoing conversation between gratitude and growth. When you respect money as energy rather than as identity, it multiplies. So yes, leap, but leap wisely. Build bridges that last, not fireworks that fade. The world needs your expansive thinking, but it also needs your follow-through. As for family and emotional legacy, the Ten of Pentacles carries a second message, one about roots, reconciliation, and inherited wisdom. There's an echo from the ancestral realm right now, a subtle vibration asking you to make peace with the lineage that shaped you. Old silences, unspoken resentments, the quiet tension that lives between words, they're loosening. A conversation that once felt impossible might unfold soon, softly, and without the dramatics you fear. Healing doesn't always arrive as fireworks. Sometimes it comes as a quiet sentence spoken at exactly the right time. One family member's breakthrough could ripple through everyone, creating an invisible network of healing. You may suddenly understand that forgiveness isn't an act of surrender but of sovereignty. It doesn't mean forgetting, it means freeing yourself from carrying someone else's unfinished lesson. In therapy, we'd call it emotional individuation. In Buddhism, it's called release. Same result, you stop dragging ghosts into rooms that were meant for the living. So if you feel a nudge from the universe to reach out, don't overanalyze it. Do it from love, not obligation. When Sagittarius forgives, it's never passive, it's an act of rebellion against bitterness. That's how you cleanse your karmic bloodline, not through perfection, but through compassion that doesn't require explanation. Finally, in this current cycle, you'll find yourself drawn to 3 unlikely allies who represent qualities you've been cultivating all year. Virgo, the practical architect, will help you turn your grand ideas into actionable plans. Capricorn, the disciplined strategist, will teach you how to transform vision into structure. And Libra, the graceful diplomat, will remind you that balance doesn't mean boredom. It means harmony that allows momentum to continue without chaos. Together, they form your support crew, the engineers of your spiritual spaceship. You're the captain, but they keep the engines running. This alliance, both symbolic and real, marks your maturity. You've evolved from the lone wanderer chasing enlightenment across continents into the conscious leader who knows that even the most inspired journey requires logistics. The archer has become an architect. The monk on the motorcycle now checks the fuel before meditating on the view. In this grand synthesis of health, wealth, and connection, everything points to one truth: presence is your prosperity. The body is your compass, laughter is your medicine, structure is your freedom, and forgiveness is your flight path. You are learning to move through life not as a restless tourist of meaning but as an intentional builder of it. And that, Sagittarius, is the most radiant form of wisdom, a philosophy you can live in, a legacy you can laugh through, and a future that finally fits. Let's take a deep breath and admit something that the stars rarely mention: life is funny, mostly because it's messy. Even the most spiritual Sagittarius has tripped over their own enlightenment at least once. You'll spend an hour setting powerful intentions for your new beginning, only to spill coffee on your pristine white shirt 5 minutes later. You'll text a heartfelt message to the wrong person, lose your keys while trying to manifest abundance, or preach mindfulness in traffic right before honking at a tourist who doesn't know how to merge. That's not failure. That's divine comedy. The universe has a sense of humor, and cosmic humor is its favorite form of education. Every little inconvenience is the universe's way of saying, relax, you're still human. And that's a beautiful reminder, because perfection is sterile, humanity is alive. Even the most enlightened archer gets parking tickets. The trick is not to mistake inconvenience for destiny. Laugh, realign, and keep shooting your arrow. The target isn't running away, it's simply waiting for you to remember that you're not just the archer, you're the bow, the string, and the wind itself. This brings us to the heart of it, the grand finale, the unfiltered truth of who you are and where you're heading. Sagittarius, you're entering a season where alignment replaces effort. The things you used to chase now find their way toward you. Panic gives way to intuition. Hustle gives way to harmony. Your light no longer just illuminates, it warms. And that warmth, that steady glow, is what makes you unmistakably one of the chosen ones, not because the cosmos plays favorites, but because you finally chose yourself after seasons of self-abandonment. You stopped outsourcing your worth to the approval of others and decided that your truth, even when inconvenient, deserves to take up space. That decision alone is an act of sacred bravery. It's the courage to live by your own philosophy rather than the world's checklist. The so-called Year of Triumph 2025 isn't just a slogan on a vision board, it's your lived reality unfolding. The trials you endured weren't detours, they were rehearsals. The heartbreaks weren't punishments, they were pruning, trimming away what couldn't grow with you. Every disappointment carved a space for the abundance now on its way. The universe isn't handing you rewards out of pity, it's responding to your consistency. This is what we call karmic maturity, the moment when your inner work begins to reflect in your outer world. And here's the triple confirmation written in cosmic ink. First, the past no longer defines you. Second, the universe is aligning in your favor. And third, your next step, however small, will set miracles in motion. That's the beauty of it, you don't need to make dramatic leaps, just honest ones. Sagittarius growth has never been about perfection, it's about participation. Say it with conviction, my spirit is ready to soar. And mean it, because it truly is. You've outgrown the maps that kept you playing small. The horizon no longer intimidates you, it calls to you. The fear that once held you back is now just background noise to your laughter. So walk forward with humor in your heart and purpose in your stride. Keep that unmistakable Sagittarius glint in your eye, the one that quietly says, I'm not afraid of the unknown should be afraid of me. You've learned that the secret to thriving isn't control, it's trust. You don't have to chase meaning anymore, you are meaning in motion. You've spent long enough proving yourself. Now it's time to enjoy yourself. Laugh more. Rest when you need to. Dream without guilt. Build without fear. Share your wisdom, your stories, and your signature optimism. The world needs your fire, but also your warmth. And as you step into this luminous chapter, let these simple truths anchor you. Your lucky numbers are 8 and 55, reminders of infinity and change. Your power color is gold, the shade of wisdom realized and radiance remembered. And your mantra, the compass point for this next adventure, is this: my freedom has focus, my light has purpose. This is the moment to stop reading and start living. The arrows are polished, the path is clear, and the sky is wide open. The universe has confirmed it 3 times over. So, dear Sagittarius, if this message resonated with that wild philosopher heart of yours, take a moment to support the journey we share here. Like this video, share it with your fellow stargazers, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where we keep translating the universe's riddles into human language with a little humor, a lot of honesty, and just enough philosophy to make sense of it all. Your next great adventure begins not out there, but right here, in the quiet confidence of knowing you are already aligned with everything you were meant to become.